¿Cómo se dice mariposa en inglés? You say lift or elevator. ¿Seguro? Of course, you see. Both go floor to floor. Para fiestas y posadas. And this closes the series regarding stress rules in the Spanish language. So stress rules and the stress mark. Now, you will notice that the column to the left, these words do not have a stress marked, versus all of these have a stress mark. It's interesting because these words up here are monosyllabic. There's only one syllable, therefore we already know where the stress is. And these words over here that have the stress mark, we would have predicted the stress anyway. I mean, this is just one syllable, right? Remember, U's after Q's are never pronounced, so this is a diphthong. That's a diphthong. And it's one syllable. These two syllables, but it ends in a vowel. Stress is in syllable number 2. Why is it marked? Syllable number 2 ends in a vowel. Why is it marked? And yes, the simple answer, many people will say, well, they mean different things. For example, this one will mean if, this one will mean yes. And that is true. This will be a preposition, and this will be a verb. That is true, but it's not just that. The reason why is within the sentence, we put a stress mark on these words because we emphasize these words, as opposed to these, we do not emphasize these words. Usually in Spanish, we're going to emphasize the verb, not with these words. So, if we go to these examples over here, we can see if we have if, we will emphasize the verb, and here is the verb. No sé si venga. I don't know if he will come. Versus the affirmative, yes, right? Me dice si sí lo quieres o no. So tell me if you want it or not. Or tell me if you are going to want it or not. But this would be the yes, if yes, you want it or not. Over here, for example, we have the pronoun. Now this can be direct, indirect, reflexive pronoun, for example. And we always emphasize the verb. So, te digo, te lo compro, te vas conmigo. And this is the intonation, right? And this is something very, very important. So Spanish doesn't just use a stress mark to mark stress in words, but it has these exceptions, and these are the exceptions, because it changes the emphasis of the sentence. So for example, if you want tea, this means tea, you're going to emphasize tea. So notice, bebo té caliente. You're going to emphasize the tea, you're not going to emphasize the verb. If you emphasize the verb, it's going to sound strange. It would sound such as, bebo té caliente. Bebo té caliente. Sorry, it just sounds funny. I apologize. Bebo té caliente. No, that's just wrong. Bebo té caliente. You're going to emphasize that. Let's go ahead and look at some of these other examples. If we look at the preposition of versus the verb, here this will be es de María. So it's Maria's. Es de María. It's Maria's. Versus over here, quiero que le dé una vuelta. Right? So I want you to que le dé una vuelta. This is to go check up on, just go for a stroll, go around and check up on something or someone. Let's look at some of these other ones. For example, here, this would be my, and this would be to me. So this is the me. And here we have es mi perro. So it's my dog. Es mi perro. You emphasize the verb. So you would underline this. In this activity, you would underline this. Versus over here, a mí me dijo. Notice you would emphasize this. So you would underline that. Es para mí. It's for me. You emphasize that. And that's really what you have. Now in these down here, the Spanish Royal Academy says it's not necessary to put a stress mark over this word, but it is recommended. And I highly recommend putting a stress over this word, because in English it makes total sense. In Spanish, some individuals might think, well, what's the difference? They're the same. No, they're not. This means only. This means alone. So if I were to say, for example, estoy solo con María. So estoy solo con María. Right? I emphasize the verb. Estoy solo con María. I am alone with Maria. Estoy solo con María. I am only with Maria. So that's the difference. Now let me see if I can get the pronunciation correct. Estoy solo con María. Estoy solo con María. So I'm alone with Maria. Estoy solo con María. Right? That would be the difference. Now you could make the argument that the implication is the same. All right, fair enough. You're still only with an individual. Now these down here, these follow a different construction. So these, we put a stress mark, and it's there is meaning. Now there's also a different part emphasized, but ¿Cómo doblo la hoja? This is how, versus como gustes doblarla, however you want to fold it. So here, these, really there's meaning. There's a difference in meaning between these words. These are your evers in English, so wherever, right? ¿Dónde lo pongo? Where should I put it? Ponlo donde sea. Put it wherever you want. So these are the evers, and that's the reason behind these right here. So just keep those in mind. Some of these words have a stress, some of them do not. And the reason is meaning, that is correct, but it's also, in the case of these words, is what we emphasize in the sentence. So, this being said, this concludes the fourth video of the series regarding stress marks in the Spanish language. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.